everyone, and welcome to another episode of Ask the Doc. I am your host, Jennifer Filzen, and today I have with me Rock Snyder of Rehab Fitness and Conditioning in Santa Cruz. Welcome, Rock.
Well, thank you, Jennifer. It's fun to be on.
Oh, so glad to have you. I love fitness. Fitness is a wonderful thing. In fact, this weekend I was at a dance convention, so I'm sore because I'm rusty. But I see that you're the president of Rehab Fitness and Conditioning, but you say that your title and position is puzzle master. I can't wait to hear you talk about that. What do you do as a puzzle master?
Well, I'm not a doctor necessarily, but I work within the medical community. I get a lot of referrals from doctors, orthopedists, and so on. And people that come in and see us are having mainly acute and chronic pain, aside from those that want to get in shape and so on. But the majority of people that I see are coming in with this pain that they have no idea what's going on with their body. They may have seen other professionals and they've been given maybe some pain medication and told to rest and maybe do some physical therapy, but that may or may not be effective either. So really what I do is I'm more of a biomechanist. I look at how the body actually moves, and there are certain ways that it's designed to move. Our bones are shaped with an encouragement for joints to move in specific ways. But this world around us can create a whole bunch of ways in which people choose to move subconsciously, which can create compensation and pain. And a lot of these compensatory patterns begin with earlier injuries. So what I do is kind of hunt back in time and track down the clues as to what might have been the origin of the issues that they're dealing with in present time. And then finding out what they've been dealing with, can we give them a new experience, a new type of movement that is more efficient, that takes away the compensation and creates a new pattern of movement? And then they have the tools at their own disposal to now be in charge and responsible for their own well-being. So it's not that I fix people, because people come in and often say, I need you to fix me. And instantly I say, no, I will guide you and we'll ask your body really what it needs and how it wants to move better, and see if we can't do that, and then see what the outcome is. And more often than not, the outcome is less pain or a pain-free existence, which is definitely solving a puzzle.
Oh, yes. Living pain-free is the pinnacle, right? That's what we want. And I love what you're doing because, yes, I too am seeing a physical therapist, and I've had chronic issues on my right side, my right hip, my right knee, my right foot. And he's like, well, Jen, you're spending way too much time on that right side. Let's shift you over to the left. It's like these small itty bitty. I'm like, really? I've been standing on my right side way too much, and I'm not engaging my left side as much. But it's true. It's like all these breathing exercises, all these things that I'm doing are really helping to minimize that pain, which is amazing. So yes, I love what you're doing, and I love that you're making the world a better place by helping people be pain-free without medication. And that's amazing. So how did you get into this field? Tell us about that.
Well, ultimately, I'm just a glorified gym rat. I like lifting heavy things and counting to 10 and putting them back where they belong. I mean, that's really it. But somewhere along the way, as I was training clients and being the personal trainer of the 90s, I realized that a lot of the programs that we were designing then were creating imbalances within a person's body. We were focusing on major muscle groups and reinforcing patterns over and over in the course of repetitions and sets to the count of tens of thousands, if not more. And that developed distortions to a person's posture. It encouraged compensation rather than balancing it out. And I recognized that a lot of the things that we were doing were actually going to be down the road to causing pain rather than alleviating it and getting a person truly healthy. So I started to explore a little bit more about the human structure and the alignment of a person's posture, kind of along the lines of chiropractic, but in an exercise kind of perspective. And then that led me into not only understanding where a person's resting posture ideally should be, but how do they take that resting posture and they move through space with it? Or in your case, how do they compete in a dance competition? And is it something that we want to try and encourage a more balanced approach with exercise and maybe helping them to get into a better place where movement is more efficient. And that led me into understanding a little bit more about health history, and that an injury that may have been suffered even as early as childhood or just a few years ago, say maybe a sprained ankle or a slip on the ice in the wintertime that bruised a hip, later down the road, maybe a couple of years later, that has created some compensatory patterns that have eventually caught up with the person. So now they're not thinking about the hip or the ankle, but their neck is starting to bother them, or their lower back is starting to concern them, or they're feeling their shoulder pain. And often is the case that they'll go and see somebody about it, and they'll focus on the area where the pain symptom lies, and not necessarily look back and say what might have occurred this person to stand more on their right side than their left side, or what might have brought about these symptoms. And looking back going, oh, look at this. You have sprained your ankle about 10 years ago, and you're actually not really willing to still put weight on it. Your brain is still not comfortable with getting onto that foot because there was never really any true rehabilitation and re-education on how to properly get on that leg. So for the last 10 years, you have been finding a way to get around it, and now the pain is kind of catching up with you. So that is my path of lifting weights to the point where now we're looking deeper into the body and really seeing how the brain affects movement, which is a fascinating field in itself. I mean, brain science has just exploded on the scene, especially in the last 5 to 10 years.
Oh, for sure, with neuroplasticity and oh my goodness. And how did you know it was a sprained ankle for me? Oh, I love it. You're a mind reader. I love it. But no, truly, it
It's
sounds like
just,
you've had some real success stories. This is great. So now how do people find you? Do they have to get to you through referral of a chiropractor or a doctor of some sort, or can they just come to you when they want to feel healed?
yeah, they can just directly come to me. I often get referrals from the local medical community and those outside of it. The beautiful thing with Zoom and online consultations these days, I've got clients literally all over the world now that are seeking out some guidance and support and a little assessments here and there. So the unfortunate thing, though, Jennifer, is that it takes a long time for insurance companies to recognize the benefit of this type of approach. So it is mainly out of pocket, although some can take their receipts and try to get it reimbursed through their insurance company. So that is one of the little kind of hiccups in the whole system of things. But to answer your question, people can just come to me directly.
Fantastic. I love that. So now, do you have any success stories that stick out in your mind as far as you taking someone from age, I don't know, 16 or 96 and have helped them in their growth and feeling better?
Oh, we've got several. I could probably spend another podcast just sharing stories of this. Currently, we have a 90-year-old client who has just decided to stop competing in the Boston Marathon. She's just feeling like, okay, I think I've proven enough, being the oldest one for so many years in a row. To the person that has had some really incredibly chronic and insidious low back pain. And similar to your own story of an inversion sprain somewhere in your past, this person had broken their big toe when they were just a child. And of course, with toe fractures, the boot is maybe something that a doctor might prescribe, but normally it's just, okay, we're just going to let it heal on its own, stay off of it, give it some rest, try not to go too active with it for at least for the time being. But really what happens is that big toe joint is incredibly important in how we move in our gait cycle. So that created a whole new kind of pattern, and that person 20 years later was in excruciating low back pain. The discs were kind of bulging a bit here and there. And as soon as we got them to load properly through that foot and trust that big toe, within that session, the pain went away. The discs didn't slip back into their normal resting place, but over time, they stopped going in the direction they were going. We were able to slow that down, and now their posture is shifting and changing. So there's some remarkable things that occur when you just understand what the root cause of the issue is rather than trying to chase the symptom. And I guess that is the big thing that I want to try and impress upon the listening audience is that your pain, there's a reason for it, and it may not actually be where X marks the spot. It could be in a completely different place. So to have a map that we can use to navigate through your body and understand why that might be occurring, then it could very well be something that you hadn't even considered.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Rock. You're amazing. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to Ask the Doc and listening to Rock Snyder of Rehab Fitness and Conditioning in Santa Cruz. If you would like to find out more about his business, you can go to Buzz TV at iwannabuzz.com. Anyway, we'll see you next time. Bye.